Any people living on this earth, living on this planet, let's be real. We ain't gonna get into it, but living on the wounds from when they were a child, and they still are operating from that space. And I know a lot of y'all have seen, videos and reels and YouTube videos and TikTok videos on, how we carry around these wounded children with us, like inside of us, as we go through adult life. And some of you guys might be wondering, like, what do you mean by that? That makes no sense. Well, whenever you get emotionally triggered or you react to something that happens, 9 times out of 10, it's coming from a wound that had happened and started when you were a child. And so when we get emotionally triggered, this is where that inner child is coming out, lashing out at the other person instead of allowing for the, I would even say, like, inner adult to navigate the situation in a more stable, like emotionally stable manner. And I'm saying this because, like, I used to be there. I know a lot of people who used to be there. But I feel like, people understand that, okay, I have this emotionally wounded child in me. How do I get to healing that? How do I get to healing that part of me? And this is super important to, one, ask yourself, and then two, recognize, especially if you are on the path to ascension. We all know we live in the Aquarian age, right? So part of the Aquarian age is developing this new way of leadership, this new way of being a leader, this new way of being a leader, not just in your own life, but in business, in your career, in your relationships. It is changing. The old paradigm, the old way of doing things are changing. And so I really wanted to make this video to help y'all get ahead of the curve, because there is going to be a time where there's a mass change and a mass awareness around the world of people really tapping into the inner child and understanding that, okay, I need to wake up and I need to change the way that I've been going, because the way that I've been operating has not been serving me, and it's not been serving the people around me to the best of everybody's ability. So it's really, really, really important to understand that times are changing and we need to adapt. Okay, this is part of evolution. We're not going to get into evolution either. We're not going to get into it, but it's part of I want to say adaptation. It's part of adaptation. It's part of evolving. It's part of this human experience, right? Because as human beings, we have this really beautiful experience in alchemizing and changing low frequency energy and changing it into something high frequency. And this is, I want to say, this is one of the only forms that you can do that in, period. So this is a really beautiful opportunity to tap into that and to really tap into that power that only we have. And so when we start to, go on this process of ascension, of transforming our lives, reinventing ourselves, we have to recognize that we have to make some changes. And in order to make those changes, we have to get uncomfortable, meaning that we have to start to do stuff that we probably might not have ever had to do before, or we might not have even seen anybody else do before. But I'm here to tell you that, if you're watching this video, this means that you are ready to really step into that future version of yourself, step into the new version of yourself, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0 version of yourself, and really start to empower yourself to let go of those old wounds, let go of that inner child, that hurt inner child, and really step into a new way of being. Okay, so what is the inner child? I explained at the beginning of the video. The inner child is that inner part of us that really, I think, in my opinion, is the source of manifestation. It is the source of power, where we are able to imagine heaven here on earth. It stems from that inner child. And when that inner child is wounded, we can't do that. We cannot tap into we can't tap into the part of us that is able to really transform our lives to make it heaven on earth. Okay, so this is why it's important to really tap into the inner child and then figure out where the wounds are. Okay, and the easiest way to figure out where your inner child wounds are is to really analyze, when do I get triggered by other people? When do I feel the need to react instead of pause and then respond? Those are like the two big ways that you can really start to see, okay, this is where my inner child is wounded. And when you start to recognize that, it's from that space that you can then heal the inner child. And I'll talk about that in a couple of minutes, okay? But you can start to heal the inner child from that space, but you absolutely need to first recognize when the wounded inner child is popping up. Now, some of y'all might be watching, be like, my wounded inner child never pops up. And that's great, because that means that you are able to respond to your emotions and process your emotions in a way where they don't take over your reaction or your response to something. AKA, you basically a monk. So good on you. If you're there, good on you. Okay. I know monks, they one of the things that was taught to me a lot when I was studying Buddhism and meditation, and really meditation is just another form of emotional processing. But I know for a lot of y'all listening, you're probably like, meditation is too hard. Da, da, da. I get it. We won't really, this isn't really going to be about meditation. Okay. I mean, it is and it isn't. But one of the biggest lessons I learned from monks is that, they're able to sit for so long, not because they ignore their emotions. It's because they've meditated for so long that they've sat with their emotions. They've processed their emotions already. They spent years processing their emotions to the point where when an emotion comes through them, they're able to let go. They don't attach themselves to it, right? So for example, let's say I'm meditating and a memory comes up where, when I was little, somebody kicked me like on purpose, or I guess in my opinion, I thought it was on purpose. And I start to get angry, right? So that's me. But a monk would have that same memory, right? But they might feel anger, but they won't attach to it. Whereas like me, that has a wounded inner child, might attach to it and then continuously think about it and think about it and think about it and think about it. And for those of y'all who are resonating with me in that state of mind where you continuously think about it, this video is definitely for you. So you really have to start to recognize when you get triggered. And the best way to really start to understand like when and where you get triggered is just like reflect on the past week. When did you get triggered in the past week or the past month? Okay, even if it was something small where you didn't lash out, but if somebody kind of got to you, figure out where that was, and then you need to start to trace back to when you were a child. When was the first time that you experienced that as a child? Because that's going to help you link back to the wounded inner child, okay? So now I wanted to get into ways of healing the wounded inner child. So there's a bunch of different ways to do this. And I'm going to talk to y'all about the top 3, okay? And this is kind of the top 3 ways of healing the inner child that I've come across amongst many, many, many different experts, many different masters, okay? So the first way you can heal your wounded inner child is, one, you can learn how to process your emotions, okay? Some of us, we have emotions that we've constantly ignored to the point where they keep on coming up because we haven't sat with those emotions. We haven't really process them in the way that we need to, that our body needs to experience, right? Because one thing I want y'all to understand is that, we're human beings, we're having this human experience. Part of the human experience is experiencing emotions, and not just like any emotions, right? It's like the negative emotions and the positive emotions. We have to experience both. It is part of the human experience. That's why we are in these bodies. That's why we are here on earth. It's to experience that. It's to experience that duality, right? This is one of the only places in the universe where we can experience that separation of the light and the dark. Ooh, and I feel like, you know what, y'all? we're gonna pause real quick so I can get better service, because I know this is not doing what it needs to do. This is what not doing what it needs to do. Okay, so that was the first way of healing your inner child. Okay. The second way to heal your inner child, so the first one's processing your emotions. You absolutely need to process your emotions. I feel like okay, hold on. Y'all, give me a second. Give me a second. We gonna go over here. Okay, y'all, we gonna go next to the window, because hopefully we gonna do it like, there you go. I already got more vibes. Okay, so that was the process your emotions. There's many different ways of processing your emotions, but you have to first recognize that you need to become aware of your emotions. That's the first thing. The second way to process your emotions is to tap into your purpose. And this is probably the easiest way to really, it's the easiest way to start to process your emotions passively, process those negative emotions passively. So when we start to process those negative emotions passively, the way that you do this is by tapping into your purpose. It is the easiest way to do this, because once you are in your purpose, right, you feel your heart light up. And when you start to feel your heart light up, that's when you can really attract your reality to you in that moment. And once you're able to do that, it just becomes so easy for you to live in alignment, being in the right place at the right time, meet the right people that are supposed to be in alignment with you. And so once you do this, you're starting to put your attention and your focus onto the things that you want in your life. And once you do that, it becomes so much easier to not allow those negative emotions to attach to you, right? Because in the past, that's what we've done. We've allowed these negative emotions to come up and attach to us and kind of stick to us, right? And back to the little monk analogy I had earlier, monks, they're able to, the emotions come and they'll stick to them. Not really stick, right? But they'll kind of lay on them for a little bit, and then the emotions will kind of brush off of the monks, right? Because they don't allow the negative emotions to stick to them, right? They just let them pass through. And actually they do this with all the emotions, positive and negative, but we're gonna get into that on another live stream. That's like a whole nother topic of conversation. So that's the second way to do it. The third way, and this one's gonna be a big one for y'all. This is like really, I think, the person who gave me this information, her name is Solara Green, and I think she's really ahead of the curve in terms of this process of healing. And so in her practice, she has taught me that you don't have to really attach yourself to healing. You can just decide to let go, right? Just like, when we can how we can decide to be happy about something, or be mad about something, or be sad about something, or be excited about something, right? Just how we can decide how to feel about a certain thing, right? We can also decide to let go of the things that no longer serve us. And this is definitely harder to do when you don't have that future compass, when you don't have that version of your future self that you haven't laid out. So definitely, if you are one of those people watching who's like, I can't just let go of my emotions. I can't just let go of my negative emotions. Like, I have to process them. That's fine. Do the first two. But I also want you to really make sure that you have an idea of what your future self is going to be, what that version of you is going to look like. Because without that version of you, it's really, really difficult to navigate, right? And again, like, you don't have to necessarily write out what does the future version of me look like. You just have to absolutely know what your purpose is, what's in alignment for you, what feels right for you, okay? And the simplest way to do this is to just write out a list. What makes me happy? That's all you got to do, is write out a list. What makes me happy? Write it out. Put a star next to the ones where, when you write it down, your heart lights up. Once you do that, then make sure that you do at least one of those things consistently every single day. Every single day. And when I say every single day, I mean you are developing a life lifestyle change, okay? This isn't just like a temporary thing. It's not for like 1 month or 2 months. I want you to start doing something that you love every single day. Because once we do that, you're really able to, again, passively, without having to take any action, tap back into the energy that you want to be in, that's really going to be your future self, that's really going to allow you to live in your kingdom on earth. But you absolutely need to focus on what it is that you're passionate about, okay? So, and the best way to do that too, going back to the inner child, is to, if you're one of those people who's like, I don't know what I like, I don't like anything, like, that's okay, we've all been there, I want you to think back to when you were a child. What did you love to do as a child? Okay, what did you absolutely love to do as a child? One thing that I loved was scribbling. I think that's like a ridiculous answer, but it's true, because like as a kid, like I could never color in the lines. Like I don't know what was wrong with me, but I was just like, I remember like I would try to like color in the lines, and then like I would make one little mark off, and I'd be like, you know what, forget this, and I'll just scribble all over the paper. If that's like what brought you joy as a kid, then like do more of that, right? But the whole point is that you need to start doing more of that consistently. And it's not about the amount of time, right? You don't have to do this for an hour. You don't have to do this for like, 2-3 hours a day. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you need to start doing it consistently. So even if it's just getting like a piece of computer paper and then coloring on that computer paper for 5 minutes, and I know everybody has 5 minutes. Don't tell me you don't have 5 minutes, okay? Even if you can just do that every single day to tap back into that inner child, to tap back into the happy memories that we had as children, this is going to allow you to really amplify your manifestation powers. I'm telling you right now, it works like magic, okay? And again, this is for my lazy people, okay? This is for the people who don't necessarily want to do the emotional processing or want to take the course or want to, write out a whole essay about, that one moment, when you were a kid. That's fine. You don't have to do that. But you do have to tap back into what you love consistently. That is a key. I'm not gonna lie about that. You have to do something. So ideally you would do a little bit of both, but I know, it might not be convenient for everybody. But yes, you absolutely need to do that when you are kind of tapping into your inner child, okay? And again, the reason why you need to tap into your inner child is because you need to be able to use that imaginative power that we had as children, right? If you remember back to when you were a child, what did we do most of the time? Most of the time we imagined, right? I mean, hopefully everybody imagined. I don't know about everybody else, but I think people imagined in different ways, right? Some of us would read books, and that's how we imagined. Some of us, I remember when I was a kid, I would play with my friends and we would just make up like stories that we were like acting out or playing out in the backyard. We were just constantly imagining. And this is like the most powerful state of manifestation that you can be in. But again, if the inner child is wounded, it's going to make it a little bit more challenging to manifest what you want in your life. And so a lot of people who are watching, if you are having trouble manifesting in your life, that's probably one of the reasons why, is because you have this wounded part of your inner child, okay? So I gave y'all 3 ways to heal your inner child, and I'm gonna give y'all one more. The other thing you can do is you can tap back into the times when your inner child was wounded. And it's a little tricky. So this part is gonna be a little tricky, but I'm gonna explain it to y'all. Hopefully y'all get it. So you tap back into, how you were as an inner child when you were, not how you were. So sorry. You tap back into an incident that happened when you were a kid that might have been negative. And I want you to see it from an outside perspective. Okay, from an outside perspective. And once you see it from an outside perspective, one thing that I think a lot of people find is that, when they have negative emotion or negative things that happen to them as a kid, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, in those interactions, one of the issues is that, they didn't have a parent or parents around that were able to emotionally support them. And so what your job is now is to, go back to when you were a kid,
help out the inner child, and you tap into your inner mother. And this is for like males or females, okay, guys or girls, doesn't matter. The mother is, she's the one who's supposed to take care of your emotions. So you absolutely, absolutely need to kind of swoop in for the inner child, and you need to mother the inner child. Tell the child, you know, it's not right what happened to you. This is not okay. I'm here for you. What do you need? Okay. Now, again, I've told this to some of my clients in the past, and they have trouble visualizing. So if you do have trouble visualizing, what I would say is kind of go back into this video, or you can check out the free wellness library too. The link will be in the description below. And there will be visualizations that you can do to help you out with what you need. Okay. But yeah, you absolutely, absolutely need to do the work, because when it comes to this process of ascending in any capacity too, right? It's not just ascending, I don't want to put this, it's not just ascending spiritually, right? But even if you have a career or you have certain goals in your life that you want to achieve, when you tap into the inner child, it's going to make everything so much easier. So much easier. I'm telling you right now, it's gonna make it so much easier. But you need to tap into that inner child, okay? You need to tap into those inner child wounds. It is just absolutely, absolutely necessary. Okay, so I think those are the big things. Do y'all have any questions? Anybody? Okay, this is like last chance for questions. And again, we're talking about the inner child healing. So if there's anything that y'all have done that maybe worked, didn't work, let me know, and we can kind of work it out real quick. And if not, let me see. And if not, here's what I want to give to y'all today. So in the link below, I have a very, very, very extensive, and when I say very, I mean very, very extensive course on emotional processing. And when I say extensive, I mean you get what I think it's 3, 4, 5 master classes all in one. And right now I'm selling it for $33 just for the next 48 hours. Okay. So the link will be in the description below. But you'll have membership access to all of my courses. But that course is going to be really important for you, especially if you need help with the inner child, because it shows you how to process your emotions. It shows you how to reset your mind, okay? Reprogram your mind, get your mindset in alignment with your future self. And on top of that, it also empowers you to figure out how to become your future self now in this moment, because there's many ways of doing this. And that's one thing that I really want y'all to understand. You do not have to wait to be your future self. You do not have to wait. This it's kind of, it's BS. You can be your future self right now. There are so many ways of doing it. And one of those ways is going to be tapping into that inner child, doing things that your inner child loves to do. Okay. Again, if it's scribbling outside the lines, that's okay. Okay. If it's, I think I even did a reel where I was rolling down a hill, right? This is like one of the easiest, and actually, and it's for a lot of people who are struggling with depression, anxiety, you know, those emotions that they have a grip on our heart. I'm telling you right now, rolling down a hill will really help you with this. There's science to prove it too. Because one thing that grass is really good at, it's really good at taking, I don't want to say it has ions on it that are really good at taking out like the negative ions that are in our bodies, and kind of refreshing our bodies, right? Because that's the other thing too, that when it comes to emotional processing and healing, it's not just an emotional thing, it's also a physical thing, right? I think some of y'all might know this, but we have blockages in our bodies. And so we have to also realize that we have to start to do things, start to move with our body, right? Again, tapping back into that inner child, the child that we were how many years ago, and to allow us to release those blockages so that we can live our best lives. Okay. So like I said, link in the description. Right now, I think the whole membership is $33 just for y'all, just for 48 hours. That's it. But if anything, definitely save this video so that you guys can reflect on it in the future, okay? Even if you don't go to the site, that's fine. Look at this video, watch it, figure out how to tap into your inner child so you can start attracting your dream reality to you right now. Okay? Okay, I love y'all so much. I will see y'all next week. Peace.